Hey guys, so this video is going to focus on how to do conversions with measurement. So how do we convert pints to ounces? How do we convert feet to miles? Or how do we convert feet per second to miles per hour and that kind of thing? This is used a lot in the technical field, so I'm going to go ahead and get right started. Starting with this first example I have here, and we're looking at 8.75 pints is equal to how many fluid ounces here. So I highly recommend, if you don't have a measurement or a conversion chart, to really go and get a good one. I have a pretty decent one that has a lot of different measurements on it, so if you want to see a copy of mine, just shoot me a message or email me and I'll send that right to you. Otherwise, according to the sheet that I have, so 1 pint is equal to 16 ounces, right? So we're going to work on converting pints to ounces then. So what we're going to do, so the way that this kind of works here is we're going to be creating different fractions. So maybe having a little bit of understanding about unit fractions and different things like that is going to help here, as well as understanding how to multiply fractions. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the conversion that they gave us, the 8.75. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that 8.75 and we're going to put it over 1. We're going to change it to a fraction. And what we're wanting to do, so this is 8.75 pints over 1. And what we're wanting to do is we're going to want to multiply this by some other fraction here that will hopefully cancel out the pints and leave us with ounces. And what I mean by that, so for example, there's a rule in math that says that when you have the same thing over itself, it cancels out to a 1. So for example, if I had 4 divided by 4, that cancels to a 1. But if I also had like x divided by x, that also cancels out to a 1. So same thing happens if you have pints over pints, feet over feet, seconds over seconds, and that kind of thing. Units cancel out just like numbers do. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use this conversion that we have here, making sure that we set up this conversion catty corner or opposite to what I have. And what I mean by that is if pints is in my numerator, I'm going to want to make sure that for my next fraction here that I put pints down in the denominator. That way the one in the numerator will cancel out with the one I have in the denominator. So this conversion that I have here says that 1 pint is equal to 16 ounces. So I'm going to plug that into this fraction. So I'm going to plug in the 1 pint in the denominator, again, because I want them to be across from each other. And that 16 ounces I'm going to put in the numerator. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply these together. So we're going to go ahead and multiply these here. So when we multiply fractions, remember that it's numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So we have 8.75 times 16. So that's going to give us 140 in the numerator. And the denominator is just a 1 times a 1, so that is a 1. But what we need to pay attention to is our units here. So remember, if we have the same thing in the numerator as we have in the denominator, it's going to cancel out. So this pint is going to cancel out with this pint, leaving us with that ounces there. So 140 over 1 ounces, that's just the same thing as 140 ounces. Also be careful if your instructor or your book wants you to round these with precision and accuracy in mind. So if you need to have these to the correct significant digits, just keeping in mind that the problem that we started with here has 3 significant digits, so our answer can only have at least 3 significant digits, which we do here. The 140, technically only 2 of these are significant digits, but our problem allows us to have 3, therefore we have the 140 ounces. So let's go ahead and do another example. All right, so for our next example, we have the 11 yards is equal to how many rods. So we have to make sure that we have the correct measurement calculations first. So from what I know from the sheet that I have is that 1 rod is equal to 16.5 feet. I also know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So I'm going to use these two calculations here, these two conversions with my specific problem. So you always start with what you're given here. So we're given 11 yards, right? So I'm going to put that 11 yards, and I'm going to put that over a 1. And I'm going to multiply that by a fraction, hoping that yards is going to go down in my denominator. So the conversion over here that I have that deals with yards is that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So I'm going to put the 1 yard in the denominator, and I'm going to put the 3 feet in the numerator. That way my yards are going to cancel out. Well, the yards are going to cancel out here, but it's going to leave me with feet. And this problem says that it wants rods. It doesn't want feet. So I'm going to have to use the second conversion that I have here, making sure that the feet is going to go down in the denominator. So this one says that 16.5 feet is equal to 1 rod. So now that we've got into rods there, we can go ahead and stop and we can actually calculate this. So I'm going to go ahead and start canceling out my measurements here. So the yards cancels with yards, feet cancels with feet, and we will be left with rods. So we just need to figure out our calculation here. So multiplying our numbers together, numerator times numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator times denominator. So 11 times 3 is 33. And 33 times 1 is just 33. So I'm left with 33 rods in my numerator, over 1 times 1 is a 1, and 1 times 16.5 is 16.5. So we just need to simplify this division here. And if we do 33 divided by 16.5, we are actually left with 2. So we get 2 rods as our answer here. So 11 yards is equal to 2 rods. Okay, so this is going to be the last example for this particular video here. So this one we're going to be dealing with compound units. So when we have more than one unit assigned to a measurement here. So for example, 98.5 feet per second is equal to how many miles per hour? So when we write our first fraction here, so we're going to have 98.5 feet per 1 second is the way that that is written. So 98.5 feet per 1 second is what that measurement tells us. And we're going to want to try and go from feet per second to miles per hour here. So we're dealing with a measurement. So we're trying to get feet to miles, but then we're also trying to get seconds to hours. So I'm going to first start with getting feet to miles there. So what we need to do here, so the calculation to go from feet to miles is that 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. So that will help us go from feet to miles. We also need to go from seconds to hours there. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do that there. You could calculate how many seconds there are in an hour, or you can go from seconds to minutes and then minutes to hours. So for example, I think most people know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, and that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So we can use both of those conversions there for our problem. So then, or you can just do that there are, 3,600 seconds in 1 hour, I believe. Otherwise, so going with this problem here, I'm going to start with the length here, feet to mile. So since our feet started in our numerator, we need to make sure that the feet goes in our denominator then, so that they can cancel. 5,280 feet are in 1 mile. And then that takes care of that. So then we need to go from seconds to hours. So let's see, our seconds was in the denominator. So I need to make sure that my seconds goes up in the numerator. So that's 60 seconds per 1 minute. But then we have 60 minutes in 1 hour. So since the minute was in the numerator, I'm going to put the 60 minutes in the numerator and the 1 hour in the denominator. So this takes us to hours. So again, you kind of see how our units, we always want our units to be across from each other. We want one to be in the numerator, the other to fall in the denominator, so they cancel out nice and pretty for us. Otherwise, so let's take a look and let's make sure that all of our units do cancel. So I have a feet over a feet. I have a second over a second, and then I have a minute over a minute. So that is going to be leaving me with miles per hour, which is exactly what I want. Otherwise, we just need to calculate our numbers here. So let's see, in our numerator, we have 98.5 times 60 times 60. So when I plug that into the calculator, I am getting 354,600. And that's going to be over, let's see, the only thing we have in our numerator that's not a 1 is 5,280. And when we do that division there in the end, so let's see, when we divide by 5280, I am getting the decimal 67.159 there. So we need to take a look. So once again, we need to, depending on, sometimes your problem will just tell you a specific decimal to round to. Some problems will tell you to round with significant digits in mind. If it asks you to round with significant digits in mind, we need to keep in mind that this problem, that we had 1, 2, 3 significant digits, which means that we would need to round our problem to 1, 2, 3 significant digits, which means we would be rounding to the tens place. So that 67.159 is actually going to be a 67.2. And all the units canceled except for miles per hour. So we have 67.2 miles per hour here as our final answer. So just make sure that you do find the proper conversions for what you need, and that you are building them to where your conversions are opposite of each other, so that they could cancel out nicely for you. Otherwise, that is it for this video.